What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another live to roll. We got a cool show for you today. Talking to our friend Angel again. He was on last year, kind of talking some of the stuff about his life living in Mexico and things. So we're gonna get some updates and some other cool Halloween talk and just hang out with you guys. So if you have any questions, any comments you want to pop in the chat, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. So yes, I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago. Tom, you want to go?
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Conaway, C6B quadriplegic for 27 years, and yeah, Bobby.
I knew it too. Right when my the garbage man is outside doing the trash right now, but it looks like they're quiet. Okay. So I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6, 35 years from a bicycle accident here in Southern California, and it is my pleasure to introduce. He's back. I didn't get to be here the last time we had Angel, but I'd like to welcome back our good buddy Angel.
Hi there, I'm Angel Frost. I'm a T10 paraplegic and 6 years coming in January from a car accident.
Yep. So yeah, you're a little newer into the injury, and if you want, we'll get into it too a little bit. But I mentioned before you actually are living in Mexico, and did you remind me? You did rehab originally in Mexico, right? They released you, and then you were able to come get some rehab in the states.
Yeah, I did. I actually did my rehab here in Mexico for the first couple of months, and then I went to San Diego and attempted to go and do my rehab there. But I went to one rehab, and the guy was like, there's really not much I can really teach you here. So if you want
Yeah,
to come and hang out with us, you're welcome to. But
I remember you said like you pretty much were like they were gonna release you, so you're like, I guess I better figure out how to transfer to my wheelchair, and like you just kind of did
yeah,
it.
yeah. I was one of those people that as soon as I could, I was scared to death when I was doing it. It was such a scary feeling to not, right away, not being able to feel your bottom part of your body and not have that core and everything like that. I got my first ever in my life vertigo uh, when I first sat down after coming back from the hospital, and but yeah, when I was able to, I transferred over to my wheelchair thinking, you know what, this is gonna be easy. Went to my wheelchair and went out to the mall, and I regretted it instantly.
Yeah, man, that's a crazy story. This how basically quick you were just forced and just went into your rehab stuff.
What
My
was your
main thing
first wheelchair
I have,
outing,
my kids
Sean?
wouldn't let me really. My kids never really, treated me like I was disabled. So they never stopped. They stopped for the maybe the 6 days that I had to recover from the surgery. But after that, they were just like, Dad, we need this. Dad, we need that. Dad. And I'm just like, okay, all right, I'm on my way. Like I just had to figure it out because they didn't know any better. They were just like, they didn't care.
What were you
Hey,
asking,
Tom.
Tom?
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, what was your first wheelchair outing like after your disability or after your injury?
Mine was well, still in rehab. I got with the hospital. I got to go to lunch. We went to a barbecue place in Northridge. They loaded us in the van and went out, but that was still very much therapist, nurses, hospital. My first
Heck yeah.
outing was actually to Bobby's house while I was in rehab to go to his like married like after he got married they threw like a party at his house like a or was that engagement or was that was after you guys
2 weeks before we got married.
2 weeks
May like
before they got married they did like an engagement party and my physical therapist Gary drove me and my mom down first time I transferred into a regular car which I threw up in on the way down there. I got car sick. And yeah, that was my first outing. It was actually Bobby's house. Literally the first time I left the hospital to do anything like that, which was scary. And yeah, I puked and felt like shit for like 3 days, I think, afterwards.
what was yours,
Nice.
Tom? Do you remember yours?
You were a kid, so
Um, Yeah, I want you to tell us yours too, Bobby. Before I say mine, I just want to say shout out to Mr. Wheels. Love you, Mr. Wheels. Everybody go check out what Mr. Wheels thinks on YouTube. And Briones underscore Mr. Wheels on Twitch for some cool content. And shout out Ben and Daryl and Darren and Willie and everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, my first wheelchair outing. Um, I my family took me out in our 1970 Toyota Land Cruiser. Um, they strapped my ass in like a full harness, and we went to go see Flubber in 1997 while I was still in rehab, and it was like my first time out of the hospital. Um, like I think we had gone and like I know there's like outside areas and stuff around the hospital. And Oakland Children's Hospital, they had this place. It was called the Ronald McDonald Family House, and it was for family members of the kids that were staying in the hospital to be able to like come and stay, and like your whole family could stay there and stuff. And my family used it a lot while we were because I was in the hospital for like 6 months doing rehab, and we would like go over there across the street and like we celebrated my mom's birthday over there, and would just like hang out with friends and family and stuff. But like my first time really leaving and like getting into a car and stuff was hopping in the Land Cruiser and cruising to go see Flubber.
Nice.
That's cool.
Gee.
And then Bobby,
How about you, Bobby?
yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was my swim team did their um, end of the year party at a El Torito, and I was, still pretty fresh in my halo. Wasn't in any power chair or anything, and the party was up on the second floor, and of course, no elevator. So they had all, my dad and a bunch of people carried me up, and in the big old hospital recliner, and um, it was kind of surreal, late, and all your high school friends are just staring at your face because of the halo. It was pretty surreal. I'll tell you that. And then the second one I remember was just the movie. So I was like, okay, there's more, a little bit easier going to the movies. I remember it was the Michael Keaton Batman.
I
Oh,
love that
nice.
movie.
Damn, that's a long time ago, Bob.
Michael Keaton Batman with Jack Nicholson.
Best Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I'm
that's
gonna
an,
say it on here. Best Batman. Anybody was arguing me? That's too bad.
I love that movie. That's a great movie. Yeah, that original.
Is that right? You might know this, Angel, or any of you guys. Is he coming back to be Batman?
He came
Michael-
back in like the
He
Spider-Man.
did.
Flash.
Like this
Yeah,
multi.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert for anybody watching the new Superman or whatever. But
But
yeah,
yeah, that's
he's
what.
came back.
Bobby, you're a little older and not quite as like nerded out as us on some of that stuff, but that's like the multiverse of the.
Oh, the Spider-Man multiverse. He was in it.
No, not that one.
No, this was the DC, like
But
the
this was
DC.
Yeah,
whatever.
DC brought him back in the
Uh,
Flash because they got the Flash as the multiverse too. It's like a whole.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So,
The new
or
Flash.
every-
apparently, James Gunn is actually moving from Marvel over to DC.
Is he?
So he's gonna try to clean up a lot of the multiverse DC stuff. You know what I mean? Bring what he brought in Marvel over to DC. So I might start actually watching DC again because I'm a huge Marvel fan, to be honest. But like when people ask me who's your favorite character, now again, I just turned 46. So for us growing up, there was only a few superheroes that we really had, you know what I mean? And if you remember some of the old like TV shows, we're talking about, I remember watching Spider-Man as a TV show. But the main ones were Batman and Superman. They were the big, like, Superman was, and still to this day, I feel like I'm not counting the new ones and all this. I'm talking about, you know, uh, Reeves, you know what I mean, as Batman. I mean, sorry, as Superman, and those kind of things that we had, and even the early TV shows that gave us Batman with Robin and the Jokers and all of them. You know what I mean? The '60s shows. But we had the Hulk. We had that kind of stuff. But for me, Superman is always, I have to say, my favorite superhero ever.
Nice. Yeah, I know it's classic for sure. And I was gonna say I actually love the Lou Ferrigno Hulk.
I love the Lou Ferrigno Hulk, dude. Like, I grew up on that. You know what I mean? That was awesome.
Yeah,
but
my
so
dad and my brother got into bodybuilding that way. Yeah.
what's
So
that
my
really?
dad, yeah, he had a temporary, bodybuilding, amateur career.
That's pretty
Nice.
funny. So Angel, we'll get into some of the more. I do want to talk a little bit of Halloween, Dia de
Mhm.
los Muertos, but also for now, since we're talking about movies and special effects, what's your some of your like favorite special effects people like in some of the newer movies? And do you do more? You do more standard old school special effects, right? Like the like building like like
So,
stuff,
so
or
as far as like, I mean, I have my people that I look up to and people that I follow. But really, it's not even the new guys. Really, it's the older guys. So my two big ones is one of some of the most popular. One of them is Rick Baker. He's a huge, huge special effects guy. He did things like The Exorcist, and he did all those old school, really amazing effects that really brought effects into his world. And then someone a little bit younger than him, but around the same age, is Tom Savini, who I got actually,
that's
I've met
awesome.
him actually a couple of times. Super nice dude. I love meeting this guy, and I have a bunch of collector stuff of his that I've had signed. Um, and so I really admire the work that they've done and what they did to, more so, what they did to start off special effects. What they started in an era where it was really just starting, it was really raw, and then came into where it is right now. Now we get a mixture of 3D designing with special effects, like the handcrafted effects, and that's more of what I so. In my studio, we are actually doing a mixture. We are actually a prop and FX makeup studio.
Okay,
So what that means is we make everything from things that they use as props, like a prop gun or a prop hammer, or things that they use in the film like that, and then to like masks that they wear, creating the monsters or creating effects like where they get their throat cut, or they get a gunshot or things like that. You know what I mean? I'll do those kinds of things. Here are just a few. I brought a couple of my little masks here with me that I've made. And some of them I brought these out because these are a little bit more memorable from films that people are watching right now. Like this is a clicker from The Last of Us.
that's
So that's
awesome.
my version of a clicker right there. And then this is a scroll from Marvel, from Miss Marvel. Sorry, Captain Marvel. Sorry.
The Marvel.
So these are the ones that change. So this is actually a silicone mask. And then here's the Grinch with Christmas coming up.
Oh,
Hello. And that's foam latex. So yeah, so that's in the I've actually been very fortunate to people have really liked and enjoyed my work. So I've been working on quite a few more films, and that's been a little bit challenging. Me moving around. So recently, I worked on an independent film where there's like a possession, and it causes this kid where this knife is kind of like held by a ghost or whatever, and it cuts his throat. But they film it down in a basement, and the only way to get down there is actually down. It's like a ladder, and the hole was not even big enough for a wheelchair. So luckily I have assistants. So I prep everything. I do all the makeup and prosthetics, and then I'll send my assistant to actually execute the effect.
nice. That's really cool. Yeah, you figured out how to adapt your accessibility stuff.
Yeah, you really do. You have to figure out how to adapt, especially in the cinema world, because they're not. One thing I do love about cinema, and I think we talked about this last time, is that they are not very forgiving, which is what I love. I think one of those things that, at least for me, being in a wheelchair and being disabled, is that people automatically limit you to what you could do. And in the cinema world, they don't give a crap if you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're skinny, you're disabled, you're not disabled. They got a job to do. Either you can do it or you don't do it. Easy, really simple. And I love that because it really pushes me hard, you know.
I mean, you gave us one little example of going down in that basement, which you were able to send assistance out. But how much of difficulty do you have if you are on a set, meaning uh, cables and things running around on the floor to getting into those, I guess, star wagons or the wagons that I always see. Uh,
Mm.
Tell us a little bit about that process of being on set when it is semi able to get around.
Yeah, so a lot of it is logistical. So I will normally, I make an effort to go a lot earlier than someone else, or when everything's being set up. Usually the producer or the AD, which is the assistant director, or some of the PAs, which are the production assistants, will know that I'm in a wheelchair. I'll explain to them I'm in a wheelchair. So what they'll do is they will kind of make a few preparations for me. Now, I do like to travel with like I usually travel with some like portable ramps and stuff that I can put together in certain places to help me move around just a little bit easier. Or if, for example, if I see that they're going to be in their dressing rooms that they'll bring on set, and they are like on stairs, then I will figure, okay, you know what, I'm going to spend 80% of my time there and 20% over here. Then I'll start there, prep, do as much as I can right there, move everything into there, and then find my way out once I'm needed. So yes, unfortunately, you know what I mean. I do have to travel with my assistants that are trained to not just in what we're going to produce, but also trained in the help that I'm needed to sometimes move around because not not all the time are we on sets like studio sets, but a lot of times when I work on independent films, I'll actually go to the locations. So recently we did a kind of a World War II type of film, and it was out in the woods. So luckily, we have what's called the base camp. So I'll usually set up in the base camp, and that's where everybody will come to me. I'll do their makeup, I'll do their prosthetics, and everything like that. And then my assistant will then take them back out and make sure that there's any touch ups or whatnot. And then I stay on a radio. So a lot of it is logistical. So far, the productions that have hired me to do this have been really cool about it and really adapt some of their stuff to me. But for the most part, I really push myself hard. I'll take my wheelchair off road or whatever it takes.
What's your level again?
I'm a T10, so I'm chest down. I'm here down.
I got two questions.
Oh,
One, have you ever worked with a disabled actor that you did like, you know, makeup or special effects for or anything?
As of right now, no, I have not worked with a disabled. As of right now, I've been the only disabled person on set in the stuff that I've worked on.
And two, when you're at base camp, like doing the cosmetics and the makeup and stuff for someone, is it ever difficult? Like, I mean, getting advantage and stuff, like not being able to stand, like if they're like sitting in like a makeup chair and stuff, like do you have full access like at your height and at your level, or like how do you
So
accommodate that?
yeah, so I actually travel with my own makeup chairs and stuff like that, and so I have it so that they're all they're at my height, they're at where I need them at, and usually I tell the people how we're gonna. Usually I'll talk to them ahead of time of how I'm gonna adjust them so that I can be able to work. I also started something really cool that I started doing that I figured out that I can do is that I bring a massage bed with me. And so I bring the massage bed, I open it up, and I lay them down and I work on them kind of like a dentist would work on you. So now I've
Yeah.
got them at an angle like this, and I can look over the top of them and work that way. So again, it's really a matter of like adapting, and and every actor has been really cool about it. They're really open to everything. Being a special effects guy or being a makeup guy, I have to actually work really. So I tell the people, I'm like, hey, listen, guys and girls, we're gonna get very personal here. I'm gonna invade your space just so that you're okay with that, because I am like this close to them, just when I'm applying the prosthetics, just to make sure that I'm not going to poke them in the eye, or some of the glues that I work with and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I have to be
I
very intimate.
I imagine it's pretty important for like the fidelity of like how it looks on film and stuff. I mean, you gotta get like every little detail right. I'm sure like that's the name of the game. Okay, I actually have three questions. Are you working on The Last of Us season two?
No, so some of the prosthetics, I'll actually do them for as a personal thing, just to have on there, because what happens is that some of the short films, long films, or feature films that I work on, I have to sign NDAs with them.
Yeah,
So
for
a
sure.
lot of times my Instagram looks very like plain, because a lot of it I can't post, I can't share, and usually it's for, so like once we work on the set, we're in what's called post production. So we're working on the filming and the layouts. I'm doing sculptures of what these characters are supposed to look like, or these props, or whatever. And then once we film them, once we shoot them, yes, then they go into, so we're in production, then we go into post production, which is um, where they start editing the film and adding the music and all that. So from the time that I do some of these, from I do the makeup to the time that they actually are out somewhere, is usually about a year. And then if they are anything below a feature film, they actually go to film festivals first. So they will go through film festivals all over the world and circulate there, and then they end up in the theater. So sometimes it could be almost 2 years. Sometimes it's been almost 3 years before it will come out, and then they'll send us an email and they'll be like, "Okay, now you all can post, what you have." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So, so a
Then
lot
the
of it.
behind the scenes can come out. That
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
some of these that I'll actually show are like things that I do personally, or some of them are like things that companies will hire me, that work for like Disney or work for these different companies, so that I can show them like at Comic Con, or I can show them at events like that. And those, they really don't care about them being secret or whatever, because they've already been out and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. We had a cool question in the chat. I think is interesting from Angry Quad. Are there any type of special effects that you can apply to your everyday life?
Um, so maybe, I guess. I mean, it depends what you're trying to do with your everyday life.
I'm trying to change my identity so that I can
Ah,
go on a agent or a mission as an agent for Mission Impossible or something.
Okay, so I'm gonna share something right here that is kind of crazy, and something that I actually learned being here in Mexico. That's kind of, I don't know. I don't know how everybody will take it, but so I have the person who taught me how to do special effects, my professor, my teacher. And I asked him one time, I'm like, "Hey, how come you don't do?" I never see him really do old age makeup, like changing making someone look young, old, and things like that, having
Yeah,
those
yeah.
prosthetics available for sale. And he was telling me that the reason why is that, even though it's not really hardcore here, but we do have a lot of the mafia still very alive here. So he's like, I don't do that because I can very easily be, so they'll come to me and be like, "Hey, you're gonna make me these things so they can go rob a bank, or they can do blah blah blah."
Interesting.
So he's like,
Interesting.
"I just don't do it." I'm like, so he sticks with primarily just fantasy. So for the most part, I do primarily just fantasy makeup and prosthetics.
That's crazy.
and
Uh,
and Angel, you were doing this before your injury.
Yeah, so I started doing this about 2 years. No, let's see, I'm going on 9 years now. So about 3 years before my accident. Um, and I was really afraid that after my accident, I wasn't gonna be able to do this, because this actually started off as a hobby, just something I love to do. I actually started building haunted houses when I was 17. It was
Cool.
my first business. And so I got really into monsters and stuff like that. Then my son, when he was born, in the beginning, he used to go to the haunted house with me, but then he got kind of scared from the monsters, especially the ones I had in my house. And so I sold all of my monster stuff, got rid of everything that was spooky, and we went to our first Comic Con, and I was like, "Oh my God, people dress up like superheroes all year around! My people, this is where I'm gonna." So I got into then the superhero kind of stuff and things like that, and then after I started building props like costumes, like with uh, armors and things like that. The only thing I was really missing was the actual makeup effects, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna take a couple of courses," and I fell in love with it. So I've been doing it since.
So do you sell stuff for like cosplay? Like, is that what you meant?
I did in the beginning. I did do a lot of commission work in the beginning for making props and things like that. The only thing is that of course, films they're gonna pay a lot better. So
Yeah.
I figured instead of doing quantity, I deal just with quantity. Sorry, quality instead of quantity. So right now I only do film and television. So I'll do things, especially like this time of year. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's Halloween. You're gonna do a lot." I was like, "I don't do anything on Halloween. Literally,
No.
I don't even dress up myself on Halloween." I was like, "But I do have really good friends that have kids, and I don't charge. And I bring them. They'll come over to the house and be like, 'Uncle Angel, will you do my?'" I'm like, "Of course." You know what I mean? Of course for you.
Yeah,
They
yeah, and
come
I
with
know
little
like
fat eyes, and I'm like, "Of course."
cosplay is like something I a lot of people like. It's like a hobby that like they do themselves, or like it's like that's like a big part of it is like making the costume themselves or whatever. But I was just curious about like more high end props and stuff because I'm sure like a lot of that stuff is outsourced. And you said it, like cosplay is like a pretty popular thing that people do all year long nowadays. So I thought that was interesting and cool.
Yeah, I do. I still do, and I still actually I just got back into. I cosplayed for a long time before my accident, and I did once or twice. I did once after that, but it got really hard because I was really making on my Instagram. You can see I did really big like costumes. So one of my last ones that I did, I was Shabalba from the Book of Life,
Oh, nice.
um, and that one I was on stilts and I was from the floor to the top of the costume. It was around 14 or 15 feet high.
Dang.
So I was all about getting bigger and bigger. I did Groot, I did stuff like that. So then after, actually, you know what? When I was in the hospital during the accident, I told my kids, I'm like, what I'm gonna do is, I said, don't worry, kids. Even if I end up in a wheelchair, because X Men, the one of the X Men movies was coming out, and I was like, I'm gonna dress up as Xavier, and so I did. I made my headpiece for Xavier, did up my wheelchair. I had one of those standard hospital wheelchairs, and I went like that, dressed up. My wife at the time, I dressed her up as I made her costume as I'm gonna space now.
Jean Grey.
Rogue,
Mystique,
Storm,
change it,
G,
change
Mystique. Oh,
Mystique,
nice. That's good. Yeah,
Mystique,
Mystique.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, so and I stopped doing it for quite a while because again, once you're in a wheelchair, you're like, okay, let me figure out costumes that you can do as a disabled. Like you try to find like wheelchair characters, and then I started like, well, you know what? Maybe I can take characters and kind of like use an action and make it in a wheelchair. So I don't know if you all have seen a video I uploaded of me. I did myself as Indiana Jones, and so I put PVC in the back of my wheelchair and took an exercise ball and I painted it gray and I put it on the back and I dress up as Indiana Jones and I ride so it looks like the ball is chasing me from
Oh, like
Temple of
the
Doom.
stone.
You
Yeah,
know
like
what?
the
I
trap,
did see
movie trap.
that.
That's
That's
good.
really
That's
cool.
pretty creative.
That's
I
good.
saw that. I saw that. I had a question for you. Dang it.
You'd have
Go
to
ahead.
think
Go ahead.
about it.
Go ahead, guys. Yeah, I know. It just slipped my mind, but it was in that realm. Oh, so getting one was going back to what you were talking about, Tom. I, explain what cosplay or what
Oh, the
Costume play.
cosplay. Yeah.
Basically, it's a hobby that people have like at Comic Cons or and not just Comic Cons, but any kind of convention where they're celebrating like a pop culture thing. It can be like it's like very popular for like superheroes like Marvel, DC, stuff like that. But I know like at anime conventions, there's a lot of cosplay for like characters from anime, and it's just characters from pop culture that like people dress up as. I mean, I'm sure you've seen pictures and videos of like a Comic Con where there's like 1,000 people dressed up as different characters from TV shows and movies and stuff that they like. But that's what it stands for, costume play.
Okay, so I would hire Angel to do that.
A
Most
lot
Better
of
than big
people that
bucks.
do cosplay, it's kind of like a hobby where like part of it is like they'll work all year long on making their own costume. So like they'll do little pieces here and there, and with the intention of going to Comic Con and showing it off. And I think that is part of it. It's like building it yourself and doing it yourself. But I'm sure there are some costumes where there's uh, uh, like props and prosthetics and things that aren't so commonplace or easy for people to do at home. And I think that they do I'm sure some people outsource some of it.
Yeah, so there's
uh,
really cool pages like there's a page called Etsy,
Okay.
and they do like a lot of handmade items and things like. There's a lot of people that actually make a living by making popular, So like for example, one year I dressed up as the Mummy, from the original Mummy, and
yeah,
with Brendan Fraser. And so if y'all remember that movie,
that's
they
the
had
one.
scarabs and they're
Yeah.
like these bugs that would eat them. Well, scarabs never really existed, so you can't really find something that's a scarab. So I actually made one and 3D printed it. So some people will sell things like that, 3D printed items. But yeah, it's like they're saying, is that it's all about making your own costume. It's not about like, oh wow, that thing's gonna win a competition. It's just going there, being around nerds that love nerdy things, and you going there supporting and making your own kind of like, this is my version of this character, and going and just showing your support for that character. But man, it's a hobby. But I used to say that golf and stuff is an expensive hobby. Shoot, not cosplay, man. Cosplay, I mean, I would spend, I'll give you an example on my costume. So usually if you go for multiple days, depending on how hardcore you are, okay? So I would go with my son. My son was a cosplayer with me. And so we would go usually, sometimes the conventions will last anywhere from 2 days to 5 days. Comic-Con is 5 days. So every day that we would go, we would wear a different costume.
That's a lot of
And
costumes.
so we would do between 3 to 5 costumes for each event that we'd go to. We'd usually go to about, toward the end before my accident, we were going to maybe 8 Comic Cons a year. And I was doing a different costume for each day, and each costume would cost me, I would invest just in materials, a minimum of around $400 in just materials.
Yeah, there's some people that spend thousands of dollars on them. I mean, they do like really high fidelity costumes and stuff, and it's pretty cool.
So, have you guys? I know just a little bit of Halloween stuff. Do you ever dress up, Bobby or Tom? I know Angel said he doesn't dress up anymore. He doesn't.
So go
I
ahead.
did when I was a kid.
You haven't
Yeah.
though recent or any as an adult. No adult.
I feel funny. I feel y- uncomfortable for the most part. Why I've never done it, but um, I guess a question would be: have you ever felt or made the mask or painting where it's just not itchy? I don't wear anything, and I'm still just, I have an itchy back. I'm always like itching. It's just like, and I just can't. Even just watching this, all the sports I do, and at seeing these guys at football games, and they're painting their head, all white for their football team or whatever, and I'm just like, God, that's got to be so uncomfortable for not even 3 hours the football game, but I'm sure they were at the tailgating party for 5 hours beforehand, and I just can't imagine. It just seems so itchy. Is that the number one complaint about these masks and
So,
costumes?
so yeah, no, absolutely. No, I trust, like, cosplaying is very far from being comfortable. So you go there just like a sports fan would go and sit, like you're saying, in hot weather for 5 hours to watch someone else play. And, it's one of those things that you do because you just are passionate about it. But again, there's different levels of costumes. So there's some that are fully prosthetic and everything like that. And then, for example, like my Indiana Jones costume. My Indiana Jones costume is really like it's the jacket, it's clothes that you would normally wear. It's just like his style. You know what I mean? I even bought the Indiana Jones hat on Temu, which I thought was going to be garbage, but it was really awesome. So it's really just like something you would wear on a normal day, but you're just wearing all their colors. And at, like, for example, Disneyland does a day called Dapper Day. And I think everyone should know, you guys know what Dapper is, right? Where you
Yeah,
kind of dress up
dress
real
nice.
nice. So what people do at Disneyland is for Dapper Day is they actually get the color codes of their favorite characters, like, Winnie the Pooh or whatever, and they'll actually wear like a really nice vest, really nice shirt, with maybe a tie and those like old school hats, but everything is color coded to actually look like Winnie the Pooh or whatever. So those are, so there's all kinds of different styles of cosplay, different levels, and just to your comfortability. No one is there. And what I fell in love with these conventions and being around nerds like that is that nobody's there saying like, "Ooh, what's wrong with," it doesn't matter how homemade it looks, it doesn't matter how simple it is. You know what I mean? You're showing your support for what you love and being in love with that, with cinema, with movies, with cartoons, and that's what we're there. That's what they're there about. So that's really the fun part about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're passionate about it, like you can deal with a little discomfort. Like anytime I gotta wear a suit, like I'll do it for the occasion, but like I'm not comfortable all day long, like until I can get the tie off and get into some comfy pants and but I'll just like put up with it, because that's what the occasion calls for, right? But I don't know, I'm a big fan of like getting creative, like different ideas. Like one of my favorite Halloween costumes I ever did, I think it was like middle school or something. I had an extra wheelchair. I had a manual chair, and I was like a twin with my friend, and he was like AB, but he brought my wheelchair to school with me, and we dressed the same, and that was fun because I had never had like a friend that was in a chair at that point in my life, and it was like kind of cool to not be alone. And it was also like they had to get him a desk and stuff that was like, accommodating and stuff. I just thought it was kind of cool and inclusive and different. And it was also really simple. Like we both just wore like our school sweatshirt, like the same color pants. And, we brought my wheelchair to school and he hopped in it when we got there. Um, I mean, that was fun and simple. I think my other favorite one was like just throwing a sheet over my head,
Yeah,
cut
you
a
got
couple eye holes out, and it looks kind of flowy because like I'm not like shaped normally in my chair, and I was like gliding, and I was like I think the sheet ended up getting caught in my tires, and it like ripped it off of me. But it was fun and well, it lasted.
I've actually
Simple is sometimes way better than more complicated. I love simple, man.
simple is good. That's what I've always really loved dressing up and like it's just making creative, fun costumes. My two best ones since my injury, my best one to date, I think pre or post injury, was I was a Zoltar machine from Big. Like I just got a giant cardboard box. I cut the side and front panels out. We put it over. I had just like literally a glow stick duct tape to the roof of it. I used a towel as like a turban thing. I had the only thing I bought was like the fake mustache and goatee from the costume store. It was literally the only purchased thing. The rest was all just like put together by me and my buddy Frenchie, who's a graphic designer, graphic artist, and he helped me put it all together. And I won the costume contest at the bar we were at that night. Got $250 gift certificate. And that was my best one. But I also did. Um, there's this really random independent Halloween movie I love called Murder Party. If anybody looks it up, I think it's fantastic. But the dude dresses up. He just makes same thing. He made a cardboard knight, and so I did a cardboard knight, and I had a little stuffed animal horse. So I did like a carriage. I was a knight on a like a drawn carriage. And I rolled around all night with that. And yeah, those are my two best wheelchair ones, and both literally cardboard paint and like no money put together. I kind of like doing stuff like that. It's fun.
Oh yeah, those are the best, man.
Rob, I
I
do have pics actually. I think they might be on my Instagram, but I'll try to find them.
Yeah, see if you can find one. I think my favorite part of it, of that dress up for the chair, is the kids and how creative somebody can be around them, with fire truck to UFO. I had a good friend. Her stepdad built NASCAR one year, and Mario Kart as well. She was the princess in the Mario Kart. So I think those are always fun when I see Halloween, for kids and chairs. That's always great. The one party I did get to go to was uh, oh, my wife was Cher and I was Sonny Bono after he had the ski accident. So I was,
That's
white as a ghost. And so I had my skis on, and hey, he probably broke his neck, and he was in a chair, and I had all these branches sticking out of me, but everybody
that's
thought they're
actually
like,
really funny. I like that.
oh, what are you supposed to be like marijuana on pot, or are you a pot plant? And I'm just like, no, no, standing next to Cher. What do you think? But it didn't go over that well.
Okay, actually, on that note, my pre-injury. I actually one time went up to UC Santa Barbara for their little Halloween. Like it's a wild night up there, and in the hotel the day before, like while we got a room because we're gonna drive back and forth. I went to Michael's and I bought like a clear shower curtain thing, and I turned myself into a 6.5 foot bong. I just had like a circle. I did a clear shower curtain and I spray painted some little foam like balls and I stuck them to it so it was like warts on it. I did a down stem. I got some fake moss for weed, like it was in the bowl, and I had people standing on other people's shoulders to like take pictures like they were smoking out of me. That was a good one. Again, made day of.
You know what? You're talking about that. You know what costume I would love to do is, and I bet I could still do it in my wheelchair, is the one from the Karate Kid
I
where
was
he's in
just about
a
to,
shower curtain.
yeah, I thought that's where Shawn was going. Oh, you're going the Karate Kid way, but
The round
I did
shower
that
curtain.
well before. Not really, but
Yeah,
what was
last year I think it was for Halloween. Actually, I did. Was it last? Yeah, last year I went to Texas, and my sister. I went to go visit her, and she was decorating her house, and we decorated her house as Nightmare for Christmas. And I did everybody's make. I did most of their makeups in the house and their costumes, and I dressed up as Dr. Finkelstein. He's the scientist that works on Sally. So yeah, I did that. That was a lot of fun too, Dr.
yeah,
Finkelstein.
I think it's fun. Like it's just kind of a cool. Like I know I'm be 42 next month, but I like it. I think it's fun. And it's cool just to like. I like the creativeness of it. That's just it's kind of fun to do something fun and creative.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but but
so
yeah,
um, Angel, being that we're right around the corner of Halloween, but
hmm
also the Day of the Dead, isn't that coming up as well? And is that
Correct.
something big down there that you can get involved with, of your community?
Yeah. So Day of the Dead is on the 2nd of November. Or also Dia de los Muertos is what it's called. And so Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead is when people here pay their respects to loved ones that have passed away, and they go to take a day to kind of like celebrate with them. Um, and so during that, so the way the tradition kind of goes is that during the Day of the Dead, the dead are walking around, and it's kind of their time to be out, and we can visit with them. And so in order to kind of blend in with the dead that are walking around, people dress up as what they call catrines, or I actually really don't know the name of it in English, but they're like the skeletons where they dress up as skeletons.
yeah,
Mhm.
They're like a fancy skeleton, I guess. So that's primarily the makeups that are done during Day of the Dead. And people do all their different variations. And it's actually a really beautiful down here in Mexico. It's actually a really beautiful tradition. And unfortunately, Ensenada and Tijuana, places which we call is Baja California here, We are very Americanized, so we don't have a lot of that culture side of it. I was actually hoping to possibly go down to Mexico City in for Halloween, because there they do these beautiful parades. So they do these parades, and everybody's dressed up as skeletons, and they decorate these floats. It's like a full on parade. Really, really nice. The music and the gatherings and things like that. And then usually the parades will end at the cemetery, and everybody will then disperse to the different grave sites to pay respects to their loved ones that have passed away. So it's a beautiful holiday.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, and I actually just kind of got a little bit more into it, and trying to like celebrate, like our loved ones that have passed. And if people haven't seen the movie Coco, that's actually a really great movie. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's an animated movie. And it's about the Day of the Dead, and it's really cool. And it actually gives I feel like a good like explanation and understanding of kind of the traditions of it and some of it, like what it means to people.
Exactly. Yeah, that one. So that movie, and like I said, the one that I dressed up as, the Book of Life. It's also about the same thing. It was actually done by the animators. I actually got to meet them. They're actually from Tijuana, and they're independent. And unfortunately, they didn't have the backing of someone like Disney. But if you watch, they were actually out a couple years before. They did really well, but not as big until Coco came out, and of course was released by Disney. But Book of Life is also really, I recommend people to watch that movie. It's a really fun movie to watch, and talks a lot about the Day of the Dead. And we actually, my son, so here in the schools, for Day of the Dead, they also make altars. So they make things like, so we have very traditional uh, items, or we actually have a bread of the dead. So there is a bread that is made, that has sugar and things on there. I don't know, maybe it has so much sugar it kills you, but but it is actually a traditional bread that's made, that you put on at the altar or at the gravesite of the people you go to visit. And so that's one of the very traditional breads that we make here
For
for that day.
the sweetbread you're talking
It's
about,
a
right?
sweet bread. Yeah, it's a sweet bread. Very delicious, super delicious.
And during any part of your business, do you ever just do straight makeup work, or do you always deal with latex and other stuff?
So I do a little bit of straight makeup, and actually, usually it's more of, yeah, in the realm of body painting. And usually, if I don't integrate prosthetics into it, I will integrate props into with the makeup. So I'll do some type of makeup with props. But doing straight makeup is not really necessarily my forte. I never really got that much into it, besides a little bit of fantasy body painting. I like to a mixture of, just to give that three-dimensional life to the makeup. I use prosthetics.
That's cool.
So yeah, normally I'll hire. So a lot of times, the productions will look for not just the FX makeup, but they'll also need beauty makeup, because sometimes, like for example, when we did this World War II movie, they needed to have the girls' makeups and done as a period piece. So I usually hire someone to come into my studio, and they'll work with me as the department, as a makeup person who does the period makeup for the people, or then I'll hire another person who does their hair. So does a hair style from that period time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I hope you guys keep getting more and more business. Get some big movies. Get your name out there. Get
Yeah, yeah,
studios.
it's as far as I know, and I've actually tried to look, and I still continue looking, and I love to know if anybody actually out there in internet world knows of someone else who actually does special effects as a wheelchair person. So I've actually never heard of anybody else doing it. I think I'm the only one who, only because it's doing makeup is one thing, but special effects, it's so demanding because of the weight and everything that you're dealing with when you deal with the negatives and the molds and that kind of stuff. You know.
I
You
should put
know,
you in.
Sean, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Sean.
I was gonna say I don't know any other special effects artists or anything, but like a few weeks ago, actually, we had our friend Toby on, who's actually the star of an independent movie coming out called Daruma, which is about two people with disabilities, but not their disabilities. It's like about his parent. Like it's like an independent film being released, I think, next month. Forget the date, but yeah, I don't know. It's just cool. Maybe I know he's done a bunch of other stuff. He's just more on the acting side of it. But it'd be
Mhm.
cool to get you guys like a more of a full, get us on the same movie here in the future.
And
Yeah, yeah.
somebody else I was thinking of, Bentley. Maybe she might know. She's in that kind of type of realm that maybe she might know somebody that does special effects.
She does
Yeah,
more
it's really
body.
just out of curiosity more than anything. You know what I mean? It'd be interesting to know if there really is anybody out there that's also doing it. You know, and a lot of times too, it's sharing like what we do here. You know, is what you guys do. You know, is sharing a little bit of insight and secrets to that adaptation that sometimes is a tough, especially when you're the first person or the only person doing something that someone else hasn't done. You have to go through all those like, damn it,
Yeah.
that didn't
Yeah, I
work.
mean, that's one of the big reasons we do Live to Roll is to share those experiences. So hopefully, someone who has yet to go through 'em can benefit from our experience and then maybe have a little bit easier time. But if there isn't a special effects person with spinal cord injury, I'm sure there's got to be one with some kind of physical disability or some kind of disability. There's got to be. It's just like the
I know,
world
for
is too
real, there's
big.
gotta be, right?
The world is too big, and I'm sure that there's I mean, if not, if it wasn't commonplace, I hope it's becoming more commonplace that there's representation for people with disabilities just in the film industry. Like, I know it's not a very accessible industry, just as you brought up and mentioned, a lot of travel, a lot of locations, a lot of roadblocks, obstacles that might hinder you or get in the way of your access to working in that space. But um, just like every industry, I think, as like accessibility and inclusion and equality becomes more commonplace. I'm hoping that that industry is representing people with disabilities a little bit more too. But it's also exciting and nice to know that you're out there, Angel, representing if nobody else is, and hopefully that can be an inspiration to, someone else who has a passion for film or special effects or whatever it might be, to know that it can be done. And, if you haven't found someone yet, hopefully you will.
Yeah, and the thing is that I always share this is that I think that sometimes we don't understand our own limits. That they are actually a lot higher than what we actually know, and it takes a moment where you can get in a position where you're forced to push yourself, and you start seeing that your limits were actually a lot higher than what you thought they were. And in order for me to be able to do this in film, like I mentioned earlier, is I don't want them at any point to take it easy on me. I want to keep pushing myself hard. I want to keep pushing myself forward because it keeps me strong and getting stronger and learning that I can actually do a lot more than I thought I was actually able to do. And in that road, it's been really neat that I have inspired other people to as well, is to push harder and push more and realize that they don't have to use it as a crutch um, to be able to accomplish things that they love to do and not lead them just because they're in a wheelchair. We
I,
can do
I
a lot.
I love something that you said earlier, which I think like really um, is important to kind of what you're saying. It's that when you mentioned bringing a massage table and having them lay down so you could have like vantage and like access to like do all the prosthetics and makeup and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of actors that maybe would rather lay down, and like relax than like sit up, like in maybe an uncomfortable position for that long. But that idea maybe would never have been presented or, like thought of if it weren't for someone, with different ideas and different circumstances that you can introduce like ideas and things like that to an industry that has maybe been done one way for a long time and stuff. And I think that's a real unique ability that someone with a disability brings to a workplace and stuff is you know realizing that there's different ways to achieve a task, and sometimes there's more efficient and better ways that people haven't thought of before, and that problem solving and thinking
Yeah.
outside of the box and doing all that stuff, I think lends so much to whatever industry or work or business that you're doing, and I think that's just really important. And I've heard a lot of people with disabilities like mention and talk about before, like hesitation entering a job or the workplace, or, following their passion like that because they're afraid of the boundaries that might be in the way. But I think your different experience and, your different ideas and, the unique way that you problem solve and, create access for yourself can bring so many new ideas and so many benefits to whatever it is that you're doing, that people don't realize, whereas like, you're maybe even more qualified in that sense to, work and do something like that, as compared to someone, who doesn't have a disability, doesn't have that perspective or, that kind of problem solving experience that, we all live and breathe like every day. So I think that's really, really cool to, be that example and push those boundaries and, be that force. Um,
I think one of the phrases I use a lot is limits usually breed creativity. So,
well, absolutely,
limitations
totally.
breed creativity.
Yeah.
Breaking down those boundaries and doing what we all do every day. I think.
Yeah, I
I
actually started to just in case anybody ever. I know that you guys do a lot of recording when you are out and stuff like that, but I started to do when I go on set and things like that. I used to always try to take my cell phone and I try to do the recording, you know what I mean, and try to film while I'm there. But of course, we use both of our hands and move around. So it's like stop and and or you're recording in front and forgot to record behind you or whatever. So I actually picked up this camera called an X360 or an X3,
The,
it's called,
yeah.
and Insta 360, it's called.
I
And
have one of those too.
I got a motorcycle mount that they make it for this device that hooks to the motorcycle handlebars. And I hook it to the corner of my chair and it hooks to my X360. So I just start recording and roll. And when I edit the footage, I can actually just turn to whatever angle that I wanted to capture at that moment. And it's such a so I used it to I went to Universal for the first time by myself and recorded my whole process of getting on the rides and getting off the rides and how the difficulties of doing that. I uploaded that to my YouTube channel. It was really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's what those cameras are awesome. I've had a couple through the years, the 360 camera, and like for being in a wheelchair, if you want to get like shots while you're moving through stuff, it's honestly the best and easiest thing. I actually have a video from my GoPro Fusion way back, with like I was like the first 360 camera, where I did actually go to Comic Con and rolled through the crowds, but it's pretty much like people's asses because
Yeah.
it's so crowded. It's so you can't see.
Yeah,
And
I actually posted a video like that too, and it's called I called it like what a wheelchair person sees in Comic Con, and it was just like 30 minutes of like asses and backs.
yeah.
That's great.
Uh,
I have a comment and then a question before we're about to wrap up here very soon. But my comment is, I bet you some people that you're working on, actors or extras, and you're sitting there and they got to sit for a while, and they're probably the one person they can't complain to is you when they're like, man, I'm getting tired of sitting here, as they're trying to stay still for you, and you're like, really, you're going to say that now? No, but I'm sure it's got to be hilarious. They're probably on their best when you're doing their makeup or their work on their face or their mask and stuff like that. But the question I was going to have is, do you have any disadvantages not being in LA or Hollywood ish, and being in Baja? Is there any like disadvantages of maybe not getting some of that work, or is it just all word of mouth no matter where you're at?
With what I do is yes and no. When you talk to a lot of people that are in productions, like except for like actual actors, a lot of these guys are moving away from California because it's so expensive. When it comes to like prop houses and effect studios, a lot of them are not even in the LA area. As long as they can have access to those spots, because all of our work is really done in the studio. So when a company, when they need something, they'll usually call up and be like, "Oh, we need a thingamabob, and it's supposed to look like this and do this thing." So then we'll send in like drawings or send in whatever. Then they'll check it, spec it, and be like, "Yes, we want it, produce it. We'll make it, box it, and ship it." So for the most part, no, not really. It doesn't really hinder. I think what hinders me the most is that I have to actually limit my work. So I have to actually turn down a lot of stuff because of my disability, because I get disability. So I can't earn too much. So if a company wants to pay me too much, I have to deny them. I have to say, I'm sorry, I can't do that job, which is unfortunate. And I'm trying to find a way to get around to fix that, or to get in a sense where, where I don't lose my disability for working. So yeah, that's kind of my obstacle that I'm running into at the current moment.
So is it something you received from like Mexico, like their
No,
government, like
no,
their federal
okay,
government or the state? It's okay.
yeah,
So have you heard of an Able account?
no,
Okay, so it's something to look into and give a
able,
Google. At least here in California, you're allowed to like save up to $50,000 in an Able account if you sign up, which is just like a regular savings account. But what you can save up to $50,000 in that account without it affecting any of your benefits, any of your
mhm,
disability, SSI, or anything like that. Because a lot of people are in that situation where if you're disabled and you're on SSDI or SSI, you're really not allowed to save because any assets you have more than $2,000 count against you. But that is wrong, and that is not real equality. Everyone else without a disability has the right to save money, even if they receive benefits and stuff. And they
yeah,
changed that. So
I'm actually very.
there is a way, something to look into and be
Yeah, I
mindful
would
of.
definitely look into that. And I'm really like, I live a very simple life. Like, I don't like fancy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I love, I have very few little things. Like, I have a few little collectibles that I like to collect and things like that. So in reality, like, the money that I would really make working on this stuff, I really just want to leave to my son whenever I, pass on, So that's really what I want is I want, and again, like, I would love to tell these guys I will work for free, you know what I mean? But then that really hinders me as an artist to work like that, and they won't do it. Like, I've actually gone to productions like, you know what? Why don't I just work on like a pro bono, or like not a pro bono, but what if I work like as a volunteer, or you give that money to like a charity instead of paying it to me, and they can't, because of their books and everything, they can't do it that way. So I'm like, I really
I'm
wanted
a
to work.
hedonist. I enjoy the finer things in life. You can donate it to me.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, my social security number is, and then whatever Tom's is.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's my main thing, you know what I mean? And as far as like the actors, yeah, they're actually, I actually have not, luckily have not run into an actor yet that has, but maybe that's the reason. Maybe they're like, oh, I can't complain to this guy. But yeah, and I'm
I think
really
that'd be a really
conscious
cool
when I do this.
opportunity to like do special effects or makeup for someone with a disability. I think that would be like, really awesome if you got that opportunity someday.
There,
But they just don't cast a lot of people with disabilities. Like even, if they're playing a role with disabilities, like, they often don't even cast someone with a disability. So
no, they don't, they don't. And it's really, I mean, uh, I think that, again, I don't really go into the whole thing, you know what I mean? But inclusion, I think, is going the wrong way. I think that people that don't really need a lot of that inclusion are taking inclusions that we really didn't need. You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of taken a little bit of a left turn. But hey, shoot, you know what, man? I think one thing that I think we've talked about in the show, and I've listened to you guys talk about it before, is we are one of those people that our disabilities have taught us to enjoy life in that day. So, we wake up in the morning, we're like, thank you. I am alive. I'm moving around right now. I'm going to enjoy this day because tomorrow may not come. So, you know what? Whatever the world wants to throw at me, let it come, let it go. I'll deal with it today, and tomorrow I'll deal with it again or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that I woke up this morning. I'm glad I can smile. I'm glad I can talk to great people like you guys. And whatever tomorrow brings is what tomorrow brings, if it brings anything at all.
Yeah, that's honestly the best way to look at it. Yeah, just have that daily positive look at life and try to live life to the best you can.
And
Uh,
I think the way that we bridge that like equality gap is just by having the conversation and talking about it. Like the more people we can educate about it, I think the better things will get. And featuring cool people like yourself who are doing things that you don't typically see someone in a wheelchair doing and stuff. I think is really great in that regard too, because it just shows uh, what's possible, and hopefully inspire others to give it a go too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. If people are out there doing it and people, see this and they attempt to do stuff, I would love to see those, I would love to see those videos. I'd love to hear other people's, stories. I love reading that kind of stuff, because, yes, you're absolutely right. We can all do a lot more stuff in these wheelchairs, and I love hearing those success stories.
And also to before we like fully wrap up, it just popped into my head something I think if you haven't yet, you should definitely look into reaching out to some of the filmmakers and people involved. Is the Easter Seals Disability Film Festival that they do every year? That's like usually like a pretty kind of low budget independent thing, but it also might be a cool opportunity to just help some people with disabilities who are passionate about making films. That might need some assistance in the way of makeup or prosthetics and stuff. And just that might be a cool opportunity to work with some other people with disabilities. It happens every year. It's called Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, and I just know that there's like a ton of amazing people with disabilities all involved in filmmaking that are a part of that every year. So something to look into, maybe.
yeah, I think the
Yeah,
requirement is just
I actually do a
anybody
lot
with
of I actually
disability.
do quite a bit of, I get a lot of independent, students and filmmakers that are, doing stuff like that, and I am more than happy to, lend my assistance to those productions, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, I'm definitely gonna reach out to them.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That because they do like short. It's like 5 minute films, I think, or something in that range. Or I forget what the limit is. And they give you the topic kind of like week or two before, so it's a limited. You have to kind of write, shoot, and film within like a limited time, like a couple
Uh,
week thing. It's like a little bit of a challenge. Um,
But
it's
reaching out
pretty.
to Easter Seals too, like I think they, maybe do more in the way of, it might be hard for you to get involved in like the last week or two, but there might be opportunity to get involved, earlier in the process too. Reaching out to Easter Seals.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, I will do that.
And Shawn, not to just put it on you, but you can edit in our description. But maybe if we can put that Cal Able resource up on our page, being that when folks listen to this later on, and also maybe that Easter Seals Festival, so they can look that up as well.
We've
Yeah,
done a show talking about Easter Seals. And if anybody is interested in hearing more about that experience and what it is, we have a whole show on it where we answer all those questions too. And I think if you just type in Easter Seals and Live to Roll, it'll pop up.
Oh,
yep.
awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch that after this.
Thanks, Angel. Again, we'll do kind of give you like a moment to do your little bit of a last word if you want to leave us and people watching with something. But real quick, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors and list a couple shows we got coming up. Um, So yeah, I'll go ahead and do it, I guess, today. Thank our sponsors, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a local DME here in Southern California. So if you're anywhere in the Southern California area and you need a wheelchair or standing frame, commode chair, anything like that, give them a call. They can help set everything up with insurance, take care of all the the stuff that's a pain in the butt, and getting you transferred over and getting your stuff ordered. And then Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they are nationwide. So if you need catheters anywhere in the country, you can contact them, and they can get them shipped directly to your doorstep. And again, they'll help handle everything, take care of everything with insurance, and they have just great customer service if you give them a call and talk to them. Great people, and yeah, we love seeing them. Friends of ours, always helping out in the community. So thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to everybody else that's watching as well. We appreciate all of you guys' support. And then for shows coming up, Tom, are you going to be on for tomorrow for T Fizzle? You still have some issues with care and
You got to
things.
show up. Got to show up and find out.
All right, so
Ooh.
check out tomorrow on the channel. See Tom trying to get on a consistent schedule with doing some gaming again here. But check that out tomorrow, doing some adaptive gaming. Tune in, hang out in the chat. Just come hang out for some fun. And then on Thursday, Bobby will be back with Robert and Luis doing another Rolling Over the Hill, talking some aging with a disability this week. And
Yeah.
Bobby, anything?
Yeah, Luis, I know you're in our chat. It's his turn to come up with the topic, and so we're just waiting to hear from Luis. He just found that out just now that he's got to come up with a topic. So good work, Luis. No, yeah, we haven't come up with a topic yet, but I'll reach out to you, Luis, and put it on you this week.
Yeah. So
Can I address Jay Willie in the comments real quick?
Yeah,
Since
please do.
it's our sponsors, they can help you get a wheelchair. Hold up. Yes, they are DME stands for Durable Medical Equipment Company, and DME companies are the companies that get you, yeah, your medical equipment, and wheelchairs are one of them. They power chairs, manual chairs, whatever it is. Um, Generally, it's through your insurance, but they provide you the therapists and the people that like the ATPs and like all these people that help get you fitted for a chair, help you decide the chair that you need or the chair that best suits you and your life and your disability. And yeah, figure all that stuff out. And then they work with your insurance company to help you get the chair. Hopefully to little as no cost as possible. If
Helps. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Tom.
Bobby.
I was just going to say, if you're in the Southern California, it's great to go there. If not, give them a call and they can probably help you out with that chair if you have someone helping you with the measurements of the personal
that's
chair.
true. That's the reason, yeah, because you want to get fitted and measured correctly for your chair.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that information is down below. Angel, thank you again for coming on. Angel's Instagram and information is in the description if you guys want to follow him. Make sure to check his stuff out. And Angel, do you want to close us out with anything? You have any profound words or anything you just want to share? Even whatever is fine. No big deal. You already gave us some pretty great. Like right before that was some really great commentary.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything profound to share with everybody today.
Everything that you've shared with us has been profound. So you already got it covered, Angel. No worries.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on today again, and I love talking to you guys, and I love being able to share with the community. And I hope that one day we'll still keep doing these things, and I can tell you guys that I'm on a huge Disney production that I can't talk about and all that kind of stuff. And but for everybody else out there, and that's out listening and watching, disabled or not, you know what I mean? Don't give up. Just every day, push forward. You know, we're only limited by as much as we really want to achieve. So and wake up every day. Be happy that day has come, no matter what position you're in, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
We got to get you up here, Angel, and our way at one of our events, and so we can hang with you. You're not that far away.
Absolutely. I love
Maybe
it.
come up for the Abilities Expo this year or something in LA, or if you're, I don't know.
It's in LA?
Yeah, in LA, the Abilities Expo.
Oh,
Not till March, but
March.
yeah.
you got some time. But just
We
trying
could
to
all
do something
just go
bigger
down.
that
We
could
could
be
all
good.
just go down to Mexico.
We
Yeah,
could
there
just
you
go.
go. Hey, shit, you guys can come down here for real.
I'd rather do
I'll throw
that.
it up, bro.
All right, thanks again, Angel. We appreciate you coming on, and you don't have to
Alrighty.
hang up right away. Also, but just everybody else, thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for being active in the chat, all the support, and we'll see you guys next time. Live to roll, everybody.